Hey folks, how's it going? I am back today with a quick vid for one of the newest, I say quote unquote, movies on Disney Plus, quote unquote, because it's like 50 or so minutes long, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which I'll be real, I was somewhat excited for this one. I was in college in 2007. That's when Diary of a Wimpy Kid came out, like I think the first book. So the series, for the most part, I've heard of it through like, oh, my cousins, my young cousins at the time in 2007 were like, yippee, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. This is so relatable because I'm in middle school. And I'm like, I'm too busy doing important college things like playing Halo 3. Excuse me, as I almost flunk out because I play games way too often. So I was like, yeah, I don't really know much about Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I know it's a popular franchise. I want to know why. And here's my opportunity. You know, instead of going back and reading the comics or the books or watching the older movies, who needs that? I would rather wait 10 years later, 13 years later. Oh my, longer than that, 15 years later. I'm old. I'm so old. To finally see what the fuss is about. And, you know, meh, I'll explain. So the creator of the comic series, the book series, his name is Jeff Kinney. It's kind of cool. He's the writer for the movie here too, and I appreciate that. Movie was animated by Bartle Entertainment. They did Teen Titans Go. I think they still do. Rick and Morty. The visual style was in 3D animation, kind of like Captain Underpants with DreamWorks. Not in quality, but in like approach. And then you got like Peanuts with Blue Sky. I like that. I think it's kind of cool that like people are starting to say, we don't need hyper realistic models. We can just do stylized adaptations and that works. Now, is the animation quality like top notch? I think it was actually done on the cheaper side, to be honest. But to me, that's fine. They kind of play that minimalistic like angle, not like uber detailed. So it's forgivable. Though I'll tell you now, that baby brother of Craig, the main character, that does not look good in 3D. That kid looks weird. So, you know, actually, if anything, it kind of looks like it would be the animation style for like a show on a streaming service. Because you got like Monsters at Work, and that looks much better than this. So maybe this is the beginning of a series, and the same consistency with the style and the quality will continue on with the series. Perhaps. I'm just speculating. So the story focuses on our main character, Craig, and his friend Riley, how they are going to middle school, how they're overthinking it, specifically Craig, where he's like, how do I be cool? How do I survive? I'm keeping a diary to write down my thoughts. It's not a diary, it's a journal. My mom got a diary, but it's not a diary, it's a journal. So Craig here is a lot more like obsessed with being cool and being well received by the kids at school, and how it's like very much so this advanced culture. I say advanced culture as in like the ins and outs, the cool kids, the not cool kids. Don't do this, do that. The nuances of surviving middle school and being able to be praised amongst your peers, which I gotta say is quite relatable. I had a moment when I was watching this movie and I was like, wow, I kind of remember this when I went from 5th grade to 6th grade. And I was like, wow, I don't have a homeroom anymore. Like the movie makes that observation. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was a pretty big step where you move from class to class. You got your own locker. You're more on the move compared to elementary school. That was a pretty big step. You don't play with your friends anymore. You hang out with your friends. Though, as a sad man-child, I still say, hey, do you want to play video games? You want to come play at my house? Come on, whatever. That's another thing, is seeing how like overly hyped middle school and being a teenager, like in hindsight to me, it's like, who cares? That's the big thing. Going into it as a middle schooler, as a high schooler, whatever. Yeah, I can see why it's a big deal because you live in the very presence of it. So it means a lot to you. But when you're looking at your past in the rearview mirror, who gives a damn about being cool among middle schoolers? You'll survive. You'll move on. Speaking of survival, actually this entire series gives me vibes to like Ned's, how do you say it? Ned's Declassified. Remember that show? Yeah, that one. Kind of reminds me of that. Okay, I digress. Synopsis. The friendship of Craig and Riley are put to the test as Craig is obsessing with being cool. Riley not so much. Craig is on his case about that. Riley actually gets accepted more among the other kids at school. Craig's trying to be cool. Little pockets of like Halloween trick-or-treating adventures. Something about a slice of cheese being like if you touch it, you have like leprosy essentially, and other kids will hang with you. A cartoon comic contest, and little stories here and there. And ultimately, it centers around Craig and Riley's friendship. Can they survive middle school? Will Craig sacrifice his friendship with Riley just so he can be accepted among a bunch of other kids at school? That's the story. And I thought it was cute. It was fine. You get other like relatable things like the weird kid, Fregley, I think his name. Oh man, Craig like goes over to that kid's house for a sleepover, and it's such a weird experience. That happened to me before with my friend back in middle school, so that was also quite relatable. Though, a quick little observation. So, Craig's mom, her audio, it changes throughout the movie. And it makes me wonder if this was because she recorded her audio at a studio and then she recorded some of it at her home. Because there's microphone, like there's a difference. It's dropping quality here and there with their audio. It's not consistent. And that just makes me wonder what happened. Because like I guess during 2020, you can't have voice actors going into the studio to record, and that's why their audio sounds different. They record at home, which I guess these voice actors don't have good microphones or not nearly as good as studio microphones, which is understandable. So just an observation. But overall, I gotta say, I can see the hype for this franchise. I can see why folks liked it. I can see how it's relatable. I didn't think the movie was spectacular. I thought it was all right. Okay. If they do a series, will I watch it? I might check an episode out, one or two. We'll see. But overall, I got to see Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I got to see this world and what it's about for like an hour. That was enough. I'm good. If I don't watch it again, that's fine. If they do a series, I might check it out. We'll see. So those are my overall thoughts for Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Tell me what y'all think in the comments, and I'll see you all next time.